Hey, hope you're all well. I had a recent comment on one of my videos um, where there was a request for maybe more tips on selling microstock photography. So actually creating images that are capable of being sold on microstock. So yeah, I thought I'd do that. I'm more of a travel oriented or cityscape oriented, a little bit of rural microstock. So I thought it'd be interesting to do a video where I took images that were taken of roughly similar subjects or the same subject, and I'll show you which image has sold really well and which image has not sold well, and then I'll try to give you my explanation why. I'm also going to do a couple of images that have sold well without maybe having corresponding images that didn't sell well, but I'll tell you why I think they worked. And then I'm actually going to show you some images that didn't sell, even though I thought they would, and I'll try to give you my view on why those didn't sell. And then the last thing I'm going to show you is an image that I took that I didn't expect to sell, but it sold really well. And that's just to illustrate a third thing that I want to talk about. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at San Francisco. It's a place I visited a long time ago, so I was at the beginning of my microstock journey, just getting into travel photography. And so these images aren't brilliant by any means, and I wanted to do that on purpose so that I could make this not about how good or how bad the images are necessarily, but about the concept and the framework that I used to take those images, because it's the framework that can then be applied to any kind of situation. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to jump into my first two images right now. I'm going to show you two images of Alcatraz Island. I'm not sure if the island is named differently than the prison, but Alcatraz, big world famous landmark, top tourist attraction in San Francisco. So I'm going to show you these two images. This first image, this was taken on a tour boat on the way to the island, and the second image taken from shore of Alcatraz from from the Embarcadero. Okay, so this first image that I showed you of Alcatraz taken from the tour boat, this one has sold really well. It's one of my top selling images in the travel photography segment. It's been selling for 10 years and has never stopped. It's a great image. And this image, let me explain what I think it is about this image. First of all, it's not a perspective that's easily photographed from the shore. There's a lot of images like that. It's easy to do. Everyone's got one. So first off, not a common location for taking image of that subject. So that's always good to do given the amount of coverage out there. The second thing I liked about this image is that the Alcatraz, it fills the frame. It's visible in the frame, but it's not close enough that it's a detail shot. Third, I think there's a lot of drama in the image. It's a good shot. The lighting is nice. The clouds are cool, and it's from a sort of that kind of lighting perspective, it works pretty well. The last thing that I want to say about this image is it tells the story. It tells the story of arriving at the island, visiting the island by a tour boat. Tour boats are visible off to the side there. And so it's not just an image of Alcatraz, but it's a story of visiting Alcatraz. And I think that's key to this image. Now, the second image that I showed you that I took from the shore, I think the problem with this image is that first off, the Alcatraz is too small in the image. It's not clearly the subject of the image. You know, there's no story being told. I had thought that the sky would provide nice copy space, but I think the subject is just too small. Secondly, I think that basically anyone can take this shot. You just have to stand on the shore and fire away. So there's a lot more coverage in the database from a perspective like this, a take on a subject like this. So you want to avoid having an image that's easily duplicable, heavily covered in the database. So I think that's the two so those are the basic differences between the two images and why I think the first one sold really well and the second one essentially failed as an image. Okay, so the next set of images that I'm going to show you, these are two images taken at Pier 39. I'm going to show you two images that both sold really well. I took other images, but in this case, the message that I want to convey, I think, can be conveyed without showing images that didn't sell. Each one you'll see that I have included the Pier 39 sign very prominently in each image. So the first image is of the sea lions that rest on the little floaty dock things just off the pier. And on the right top corner, you see very clearly the Pier 39 sign, which is itself very famous. And in the second image is basically the Hard Rock Cafe that's just at the entrance to Pier 39. It's along the sidewalk and along the Embarcadero. And in both of the images, I intentionally took the picture so that the Pier 39, the famous Pier 39 sign, would be prominent in the images, composed using the rule of thirds. And the reason why I did that is that those images without that Pier 39 sign could theoretically be taken anywhere. And you don't want to just have pictures of sea lions, or you don't want to just have pictures of rustic images like of a pier, a generic pier that could be on any sort of coastal city. You want to ground the image in the location that you are in, and you want it to tell the story of that specific city. You want people to be able to look at the city or the image of the city and immediately identify it as being from a specific location. And so sometimes we don't or we forget to incorporate that storytelling aspect into our travel imagery. And that's my key point about these two images. You want to be telling a story as much as you can, and you want to tell that story in a way that you have not forgotten to make sure the narrative indicates the location where you're at. So if you're in Paris, or if you're in Shanghai or Adelaide, wherever you are, make sure that you at least look for those images where you can ground the images into the context with, a famous sign, a famous monument, a famous attraction, something that everybody immediately recognizes as being part of that city, and then build the image around that attraction or that sign or that landmark by looking at your foreground elements, looking at in the distance, build around that storytelling element that sets you within that city. Okay, so the next set of images, I'm going to show one that sold and one that didn't sell. I'm going to show those right now. So this first one is a picture of the famous cable car at night. It's just taken right along Union Square. And the second image here is just of a cable car. It's just by Chinatown in San Francisco during the day. Okay, so obviously the night image is the one that has sold really well and continues to sell today. The image of the cable car in Chinatown has not sold at all. And I'll just explain what I feel are the differences. So the first major difference is, and this goes back to the first images that I showed you, the night image is just an image that's less done. It's photographed less because fewer people head out with their tripods trying to make this image. It's a harder image to make. It's technically more difficult. The getting the sharp cable car image at a location with the people roughly in focus and not moving too much. It's a harder image. And then with the bustle of the city around it, I composed it intentionally to get the side street showing the traffic moving and the people moving. And I kind of got lucky on this one a bit because the people in the car were sort of not moving very much and looked pretty clear. But I got a lot of the flurry of activity around. So again, I'm telling the story of the cable car in a busy city, in a historic city, in a vibrant city. That's the story that I'm trying to tell. And everybody knows the cable car is a San Francisco attraction, is a symbol of the city. So that's what I was looking for. And I was looking for a shot where it would be less, there would be less coverage in the database on the microstock sites. The second image of the cable car here in Chinatown, this is just not a great image. Obviously, anyone can see that by looking at it. It's very snapshotish. It looks like I was walking along and a cable car was coming by and I just put my camera up and took a shot. Anyone could take this shot. There's a billion shots exactly like this in the database. There's no reason for it to be downloaded, and it's never been downloaded. Now that's not to say you shouldn't upload it if that's the shot you have, because you never know and you want to build your portfolio. But if you want to go to San Francisco and you want to sell shots that are of prominent attractions, then you need to look for something different. And that goes with any city that is a very popular destination. And even now, some of the secondary cities where they're less popular, you have to look for that. You have to take that extra step. You have to look for that unique angle, that more challenging composition to bring buyers to the image. So let's move on to the next set of images. This set of images, these are going to be images that I thought would sell well, but didn't, and I'll explain why. So this first image that I want to show you, this is taken from Quate Tower, Telegraph. I think it's Telegraph Hill. I can't remember, but you get this beautiful view of San Francisco, and I took this shot out looking towards the bay. The Golden Gate Bridge is on the left, and the Alcatraz is on the right, and then you can see the Embarcadero. So this image has not done well at all, and I thought I'd given the copy space on the top and it would be kind of a cool shot, but no. And I think partly, I don't tell a story here. I have partially cut off Golden Gate. I have not really included Alcatraz, and neither of those attractions are really visible anyway because they're so far away. The streets below the tower, it looks kind of nice, but like, what's the picture of really? It's just kind of a skyline shot that doesn't really have the subject. So I would say that it's not properly grounded with any attraction, and it doesn't properly tell a story. And while it's kind of a colorful image, it doesn't really do anything, and it fails on that ground. So it always goes back to sort of storytelling and sort of anchoring the image in the environment you're in. Okay, this next shot is of fishing boats in San Francisco Harbor, or I don't know if it's a harbor, but along the Embarcadero there's a lot of fishing boats. I'm from the prairies of Canada, so fishing boats are a novelty for me. I thought this was a nice shot. It's kind of like a cool crop, I think, and you get the reflection, and it's a beautiful day, so the light's really nice and the colors are vibrant. Nobody really bought this image, and I think it's, again, because these fishing boats could be anywhere, and there's millions of fishing boat pictures. Like, it's unclearly a picture of any city. It doesn't give you any sort of feeling of being anywhere unique, and I just don't see the story here in this image, despite the fact that it might be kind of nice. It's easily duplicable. Also a problem. Just again, I think the storytelling is where this image falls down. Just not unique enough, and there's way too many images in microstock databases now to not or to expect to upload a image that's not unique and to get any traction with it. So that one failed. Now this next image that I want to show you is an image of, it's the ferry terminal building, and there's a historic cable car in the foreground, sort of parked at one of the stations, and you can ride these up and down the sort of Embarcadero along the marinas, or the wharfs, or whatever you call them. And I thought this was going to sell well. It's kind of nice. It's framed by the trees. You can see the ferry terminal. It's like a nice yellow, pleasant cable car. But I think, I don't think that those historical cars are sufficiently well known or recognized to sort of stand in as a sort of signifier of San Francisco. It's not like the really old open cars. So I think that was one of the problems. And I think it's just, I don't know that it shows the vibrancy. I don't know that it tells the story of the ferry building. It's kind of a mixed message, where there's multiple elements there. And it just, it's never really taken off. And I think it's just, it falls off on storytelling on this one again. It just doesn't have enough to sort of get you over that hurdle where you're recognized by buyers as having an image that they want. So there's a hurdle you got to jump here. Okay, I don't want this video to go forever here, but I want to show you one more shot, and this shot is to blow up everything that I just said about what sells and what doesn't sell, because you never know sometimes. I took this shot here. This is actually taken at the base of the Golden Gate Bridge, the opposite side of the city, looking back towards the downtown. It was really hazy, and the cloud is sort of not foggy, but kind of just not. It wasn't a great day. It wasn't nice out, and the image was terrible. And so I wasn't going to upload it, but what I did is I did a really heavy processing of it. I really saturated it. I did this really strong vignette just to sort of make it not such a blah image. And I actually didn't think that this one would get accepted when I uploaded it, because I'm not a heavy processor. I like to have natural colors with my stock photography. Not everybody does, and I'm not commenting on that, but I thought this was way too processed, way too over the top. And as it turns out, it was accepted on multiple sites. And this is actually I think this is my third best selling image on Shutterstock. And it's one of my probably my top selling travel image. And I just don't know why. So, because from my perspective, it doesn't really tell a story. You can't really see the San Francisco skyline. You would never know that you were at the base of Golden Gate. You don't know anything. And, maybe that is the story in this situation. But I guess the point I wanted to make was that always try and always upload, because you never actually know for sure what is going to take off. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful, and if you want to see more of these types of videos, let me know. I've been shooting for microstock for quite a long time, and so while I'm not technically or creatively the best photographer out there, I've had to sort of use my brain to sort of work around my failings, and so I can probably offer some good advice, particularly to people who aren't also super creative and more just doing their best and having a fun time with their hobby. So, all right, hopefully you enjoyed this, and we'll see you on the next one. As always, I really appreciate your support, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.